All right, and we're live on Facebook. Let's get that wish list posted. Hey, Facebook, Tubes is up. Okay, hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, just sitting here drinking my morning coffee, looking sexy as hell as usual. Let's sit down, chat with you guys. We had a pretty interesting chat yesterday. We got into some deep stuff. Got into some pretty deep stuff. We'll see what we can do today. All right. I got one of my clients asking me a question. Let me get over to him. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Had a client asking me a question for their training this morning because they're about to go work out and they knew I'd be out. They know I'm doing my coffee chats actually. They chime in sometimes. So, all right, guys, we're getting the coffee chat. Let's. I'm hoping we get some really interesting topics like we did yesterday. Like we got pretty deep into both stuff for abuse survivors. We got into stuff on some various theoretical physics. Just various nerddoms to talk about. But yeah, these coffee chats have gotten more and more interesting. And they pick up pretty good as if I run them a while. But I think we need more of that. We just keep putting out all this live content, and the beauty of it is streaming on multiple platforms. Whoever just dropped a like took their like away on the tubes. I saw that. Someone removed one. They're not happy. All right, but I'll leave it to you guys. It's going to be a training day today. Friday's my last training day of the week as far as lifting. So I usually lift Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then we, do running on the other days. We do running on the other days. And all right, the views are trickling up, likes are trickling up. We'll start getting some chats and conversations. So yeah, it's gonna be a normal day for me. We squat, bench, deadlift, do some back work, some tricep work. Then we go push a sled. So my training's pretty streamlined right now. And kind of topics I've discussed, I think, in yesterday's chat, right? Something I talked about in yesterday's chat when I sat down for the afternoon one, right? I've gotten more into simple programming. I appreciate that the longer I coach, the longer I train, the more I appreciate really simple programming and understanding that there's no need for complexity always. And look, I still program conjugate for some people, right? People who like conjugate, um, all the way up to the bands and chains. But realistically, do we have to have any of this complexity? I don't think that we do. I think that we can come in and pick a number of movements and progress on them. And I think most people, given enough time, could reach high levels of strength. Definitely enough to be successful in powerlifting. I think people can build plenty of muscle, great body composition, be great athletes, all right, with very simple programming. And I get it. Some of your weak points might need a little isolation. Let's say someone's chasing physique. We could do a little bit of that. But is that even necessary? I mean, is that really necessary outside of a competitive level? Right? You talking about stepping on a stage, or do you just want to have the best physique in the room? Right? And I think people forget that too. If the competitive bodybuilding is a totally different world from just having what most people would call a great physique. You know, and I think realistically, if someone just gets big on their basic exercises, maybe isolates their weak point if they choose to, and they get lean enough, they'll impress people. But I think even you go back to like Burkham, was only doing a handful of exercises. He got really shredded and, of course, still had a physique that everyone was like, wow, man, I'd love to look like that. People used to follow me back in the day, over a decade ago, doing a minimalist 3 day a week program, pushing intermittent fasting. Now, granted, he got quite lean, and I think that's a big factor. And I don't think people truly understand that to most people, what they're thinking of as aesthetics is mostly about just reaching a certain level of leanness with good development. It's not the amount of curls or lateral raises you do that creates that. Good morning, Coach. Going to squat soon. What's happening this morning? Not a man. I'm just doing my coffee chat. I'm going to go train after the coffee chat. Once the sun is up and everything, I'm going to get in and lift myself. But these have been going pretty good, Monk, lately. Good morning. How you doing, Ryan, on Facebook? Conference board. There you go. I have Ryan doing full body 3 days a week. He does 6 exercises. 7 if we count the reverse hyper. It's like he said, he's getting compliments across the board in his daily life, right? He does a squat, bench, deadlift, have him do a little front squatting, dips, chin-ups. And he does reverse hypers. He's saying he gets plenty of compliments. And as you would expect, as he should. I'm thinking about working my reverse hypers back in. Right? It would be a bad run. All right. I wonder what would happen taking my deadlift back up. Might not be a bad idea. Of course, I'm doing my extensions right now. Part of me would like to just work dips back in. Just a little worried about overworking certain things. Yeah, so that's what's happening this morning, the Monk. That's what's happening. That's what we're doing. I almost worry about I'd get too much volume on certain stuff if I do that. But ironically, I get a lot of tricep volume right now. I'll see how that plays out. I probably need to be careful not overdoing those band press downs because I'm realizing I'm doing a lot of tricep work. I don't need to be hitting those press downs super hard all the time. I may not even do them today, right? Because doing 3 sets of bench and then 3 sets of leg extensions every workout, that's a lot of triceps. You got to be careful of overtraining them. And I have to remember that. I've often done my biggest and strongest when using the least amount of training volumes. That's why I don't ever buy into the volume either for myself of these conflicting research. When I look back at points where I was crazy strong on certain things, I didn't need huge amounts of volume, like my lower body. I've never needed huge amounts of lower body volume to have big quads and a big squat. Right? So, there you have that. I mean, even when I was at my strongest on the squat on the camera, I was at, for me, really high volumes. It was about 12 total sets a week for my quads. But I've squatted into the 500s on 5 or 6 sets. The Monk said, I found that once I went to 3 times a week benching, I had to pull back tricep volume because I was at a perpetual recovery deficit in the elbow joint. My elbow joints are fine because I have really big tricep tendons from all the press downs. But it's just worried about overusing them and them not getting bigger. Got to be careful of overdoing it. Right? And that's a valid concern. I think especially if I'm going to do 3 sets of bench 3 times a week. So that's almost what quality work over doing more and more. So if really for me, I almost feel like um, I might be better off just doing one really hard set of extensions. I don't know. I've got to think about it. Do you find squatting for deadlifting is beneficial for lower back as it gives a bit of a warm up? I notice a difference in doing that versus deadlifts on its own day. No, I don't personally see any difference. For me personally, you're asking for me as an individual. Mm-hmm. Nope. All right. But then again, I don't have the issue with a lower back needing a warm up. All right. I don't even feel my lower back when I deadlift at all. Like I don't feel anything there. It doesn't feel like it's being worked. And then again, my lower back is crazy strong from all those years of reverse hypers. I feel like my tendons in my lower back are so strong that my lower back doesn't really care that I'm deadlifting. It's just kind of there. Yeah, I've done SSB before as a main. I have a love-hate relationship with the SSB. I feel like most advanced lifters don't really feel their lower back when pulling. I don't. Yeah. I tend to either feel lats or hamstrings when I deadlift. Right. So right now, the conventional deadlift just feels like a hamstring exercise to me. I mean, obviously, back is getting worked and used, and I feel lats and grip. If you were to really ask me, what do I feel like just taking the beating from it? The hamstrings, right? It feels like a heavy hamstring curl to failure to me, pretty much. You know, my hamstrings might be my weak link on it at the moment. Yeah, for me, it feels like all hamstring. What's up, Luke? How you doing? But no, I agree. The monk. When you talk to really advanced lifters, usually when we deadlift, we don't feel our low back. It's just it's just a stabilizer. So once those things are strong, you don't really feel them. So yeah, for me historically, the deadlift feels like either a lat exercise or a hamstring exercise if we go off a feel. Like I'm trying to think of what I do for when I pull. I think it's just a pressure in my head and hamstrings, to be honest. Other than that, just holding the bar. Yeah, exactly. How much do you deadlift, Monk, so that we get a frame of reference for the other people? Oh, sorry, I forgot to check Facebook. Uh, Ryan says you rep 315, your arms are small. You're like maybe a big rib cage. It distorts on camera, right? Except that in the afternoons, once my arms are all carved up and I have all the veins and sitting here in the t-shirt, people think they look massive. But, and in person in a shirt they do, but just on the camera, shirtless, yeah, it's the proportions because of the rib cage. But in person, if I'm out in a t-shirt, I get compliments on my arms. That's what's funny. As long as I hit 650, 175 sumo, yeah, fair enough. Something neat and high level competitive car driving these days. Prospective drivers are put on good fitness programs, food plans. Yeah, they need to be. I mean, that would make sense. Makes sense. I mean, same thing with pilots and stuff too. That's discussed for pilots. You know. Yeah. If you think about it, it's going to affect reaction times, cognition, right? Driving extremely rigorous. It checks out. I did one track day at Porsche and I was sweating my ass off. And yeah, yep. Yeah, it's good to see these disciplines catching up on that. It used to be the exception, not the rule, right? Right? Well, and I think we're realizing that more and more. I mean, I think we can make the case for even people competitive video gaming. Only 2 likes. Tell them, man, get them likes up, guys. Tell them, Peppermint, get the likes up. Why we only have 4 likes. Been a lot of that lately. A lot of that lately. All right. People being player haters. Coach is a goat is taking off. Word is spreading. Right? Other people posting it. Some of the regulars. Some of the other regulars. These coffee chats have been interesting lately. You know. Sadly, I haven't got any supers in the last couple of days. I was getting a bunch for a while. But I had to get rid of the one guy. You know, he was dropping supers every day, small amounts. They were adding up, but it's like he crossed that line. You know, what's up, Rupio? Getting those likes up. It amazes me what people think is appropriate to say online. You know, just amazing. But that's the fascinating thing with me, you know, because I keep my private life so private at this point that the crazy rumors and stuff that gets out there of the way people, what little bit they can find out, gets so distorted that it's fascinating to me. Like I've really done a successful job of hiding my life from the internet now, like really successful job to the point where the little bit they get is so off base. Lets me know I've done a good job. Um, Rufio, he normally I would, right? Normally I would, you know, because he probably dropped in just small troopers adding up. He had probably dropped $20, 25, you know, within a week. But there's limits. I think Peppermint saw what he said. Yeah, he went way too far. He asked me something about a specific thing that trolls have tried to make up, Rufio, not based on any form of reality that they've heard from anyone ever, right? Including people they're trying to pry for information. Basically asked me if I did something inappropriate with a minor. Yeah. So that's the point. And it's like absolutely not. So you can't leave stuff like that. And that has to go. How was your chuck roast? Cooked a sirloin last night. It was almost as good. Hey Ryan, if any of the steak you're cooking is almost as good at sex, I really got to question if your needs are being met there. But the chuck roast was good. It was really good on its own. I made the mistake of throwing some of it in the brown rice, and that didn't taste as very well. So I need to not do that. Not cook it in the Instapot on top of the rice. But by itself, it was great. Hey, coach, what's the fastest way to lose weight? Top 3 tips. Calorie, whatever you have to do to create a calorie deficit. Those tips are going to vary from person to person, but eating mostly whole foods helps a lot, right? It sucks you had to learn high private life the hard way with like next level stalking campaign. Even for the internet standards, I'm glad you got it sorted though. Yeah. But that's another reason I don't reveal, you know, any plans or things that I do in general. You know, people ask, what would you do with this? Would you do this type of thing in business? It's like, why would I discuss that? You know, right? You know, Oh, we don't discuss all that. And maybe one day, eventually I do feel like with certain things, if I get certain things successful in my life and do whatever, I feel like a lot of that will eventually die down. But it's because certain people keep resurrecting certain things from the past. So I can tell you, like, one of the problems I have, I still have people who come through. There's a large number of people out in the fitness world who are still hung up on the fake Merc thing, mainly because it circulated so long that they're not aware that I took it all down over a decade ago, or that I given apologies. Like, they're completely oblivious to it. Because I see enough of that on my Facebook, like people jump into it, and it's like they're completely oblivious to the time frames, or that it was a very short, uh, you know, poor judgment publicity thing on my part, or that I apologize, that I actually gave a 15-minute long apology video. They got tens of thousands of views, but that doesn't compete with the propaganda. That ongoing. Hey, ASD, I'm pretty sure they caught the killer. And before you go further, just be aware I am not a conspiracy theorist. Yeah, Peppermint, exactly, and they still do, and I'm talking every day. Rufio, how can you sue people? So, let's say, for example, Peppermint here was doing it. How would I sue him? I want you to really think through this question. So let's say a guy called Peppermint Freedom, while hiding his face, did it. How would you sue him? Let's assume I didn't know he's in the UK. Let's say we don't know what country they're even in. How do you do that? You know. So, as a general rule, to even start a lawsuit for defamation, you employ a cyber hacker, and you think that that's going to necessarily work out. You know what I mean? So, so think of in the case of, like, with Lane and them. We just get the video locked. That's been rather difficult. Big channels, if they have a big outreach, you can't. Small channels, it's been pretty easy. Yeah. Hey, Peppermint, and by their own country, that only applies international. That's not how it works in the United States. Right? How does it work in the US? By individual state. Slander is not a problem in the US. It's not a national issue. US government has no stake in it or laws on it. So let's assume they live in Virginia and I'm in Texas. Okay, you have to identify them. You have to find out what the laws are there on it. You have to hire a lawyer who specializes in that field in the state of Virginia. Man, look at the level of your request. See what the Tommy guy just wrote. Think about the level of yeah. See Ryan over here is literally saying on Facebook, I've never understood the obsession with your private life. If your haters spent half as much effort improving their own life, they would be on top of the world, right? Absolutely. And the thing is, they get it wrong. That's the funny thing. They are so far off base with most of it because they've created their own narrative, and they just feed into their own narrative, you know. And then they're like, well, see, but it fits our pattern. So if they just keep adding whatever nonsense to this pattern they created that's fabricated, it gets really weird real quick. Um, yeah. I mean, a case in point, um, I had a long distance that I was in for a long time. I was traveling to see her. I'm not getting into why, but I waited a year longer to break up with her than I should have because she didn't come follow through with her promise to move. Um, but we broke up. I dumped her. We broke up. My choice. She didn't want to, and then because of other stuff happening and mutual friends, Trolls got out of that. Was she a pro? What do you mean a pro? But then what ended up happening, haters found something for where she had done a very short period of time, had done online sex calls or something, right? I had no clue about it. I literally was clueless. I had no idea. So she basically did phone sex for a short period of time. And it turned out that when I talked to her about it later, like, why didn't you tell me that? She's like, because I didn't want you to know. And she goes, I quit doing it before we got together. But they found out about that and spun it as I was visiting a prostitute, even though she had never done any prostitution at all. She had done purely like voice stuff online and was being paid for it. Right. But the entire time I was with her, I had no idea. Yeah, exactly, Tommy. So you're just a weirdo. Like, I had no idea. I was completely clueless. And why would I know? She never told me about it, and it was never done under her real name. Um, you know, I had no idea. But then that got spun as haters. Then spun it as I was visiting a prostitute. Well, she was never one, and I literally had no idea that she had done the phone sex thing. I had no clue. I met her through Alan Aragon. I met her through the fitness world. You know, so yeah, yeah. But again, it's an interesting thing of I've successfully hid my private life in the sense of no one knew until after we broke up. I was flying to see her for 5 days at a time. So all my deload weeks, I was going to see her. I went to see her 8 times a year. 8 times a year, eight to 9 times a year. I flew out to go see her for 4 or 5 days at a time. Um, is online coaching a good business? Um, these days, you better have one hell of a following to make a living on it these days. I can tell you as an anonymous person right there, there's no chance. You're going to need to start an entire massive outreach under your real name before you're even going to have any chance of making money. But no, but you guys don't need to know others. I've kept every other relationship from that point completely private, and that one was kept private. But no, sugar. Think about what you just said. Like, if that is a serious question, then I need to go ahead and get rid of you. You know, yeah. But no, I mean, I keep my life private. But the only reason I mentioned that is because it got dug up that that person was an ex. Hey, Rufio. So again, now we're getting into the fine details. Well, she was supposed to. You see the problem? Yeah. That was the agreement. But I'm not going to go into all the whys and whatever. But I mean, it was a case of that got extended way beyond. It was supposed to happen within 2 years. That was the agreement. Yeah, exactly. It's very strange. It's just peppermint. Exactly. It's just like Ryan says, I've never understood the obsession with your private life. It's very strange. Like, why do you guys care? Right. I'm really not that interesting. You can't be, no one is. Yeah. I think if people really knew how boring I was, if they dropped all the crazy stuff that they come up with and they realize how truly boring I am outside of the lifting, they they would get really bored really quick. And get those likes up, guys. No, I mean realistically, the funny thing is if they set aside all the crazy stuff they make up and really knew about my life, the fact of the matter is the most exciting thing about me is that I lift heavy weights at my age. Like, I mean, realistically, that is literally the most interesting thing about me. The fact that I lift what I lift at the age of 48 is by far the most exciting or interesting thing about me as a person. It really and truly is. If you took that away, I would be so ridiculously boring. Like if you remove that, I would be one of the most boring people you would ever know. And it's so funny that people want to focus on a legend they've created, not realizing outside of a few YouTube antics and my lifting exploits, I'm actually insanely boring. Yeah, exactly. You're a nearly 50-year guy who lifts elite weights and can run. You're an anomaly. That's it. And that's the funny thing, Rufio. That is by far, and I mean extremely by far, the most interesting thing about me. Right? I literally spend all my time training, eating, sleeping, making my content for the internet, and any other free time I have is spent purely with loved ones, either just close personal relationships. That's it. That's literally, and some guitar playing for 20 minutes a day. That is my entire life. I literally do nothing. I have zero life outside of that at all. Just a bit of quality time with my loved ones, whether that's romantic or close friends, like some close relationships. My internet content and training and playing the guitar for 20 minutes a day. I literally have no life outside of those things. Absolutely zero. I don't do anything or have any life outside of those. I am insanely boring. Um, what's up, Coach? If you're cutting weight but you still play a contact sport, do you think you should carb up and eat excess calories a day before it and have a game and maintain a diet 7 days of the week? Um, you should carb up a little bit before you compete in the sport. Yeah. But excess calories, no, excess calories, you're going to perform sluggish, right? And the elite lifts is not what makes the haters. They would know elite lift it smacked them in the face, right? Right. Right. This feels like a documentary. Who else is getting it vibe like elite athlete life level life? Right. Sean says we need to worry about laws for it. No, that's silly. Why would you worry about something like that, Sean? Come on. Yeah, I mean, so the reality is I'm actually super boring. There we go. Get them super chats. Appreciate it. Do you watch any movies on Netflix? Yeah, I've been watching some shows a little bit on Netflix lately. Um, I watched the new season of Wednesday. Uh, I watched on Disney Plus. I watched recently. Um, I watched a bunch of the Star Wars stuff. Like I spend before I go to bed. I usually will put a show on sometimes, and then I'll pass out while they're going because I'm laying down trying to go to bed. Right? Like I don't stand around watching TV shows in the middle of the day. No, I'm busy working. So I put on shows to go to sleep at night sometimes, right? And I go to sleep while it's watching, and I wake up, turn the TV off later. Peppermint, imagine the haters would struggle to lift the Dorito dust off their chest, right? Hey, Coach, how's it going? I'm going, man. What's your favorite meat? I guess steak. So no sugar. I don't take time out of my day to do them. Like I suppose if you play a video game for 30 minutes and you fall asleep doing it at night and you use it to just pass out, I suppose that would be different. That 10 years ago, it wasn't 10 years ago. Your math is off quite a bit. So you're asking me why I went to did the plant thing 12 to 13 years ago for about 6 months? It's a whole lot of reasons. Does it even matter anymore? That would be almost my point. Does it even matter? Have you ever been approached for a documentary about your life? No, I haven't, Tyrone. It would be really boring. Like actually, honestly, my trolls are probably the most exciting thing. That would be the only thing they'd want to document as being a victim of cyber stalking and trolling. That might be exciting for people to watch, but I mean, how do you respond to women catcalling? I laugh. I just laugh. Say thank you or whatever. Um, yeah, no, I did. It was like 6 months. It was while I was in the UK. Coach, have you heard from Adam from Modern Day? No, I haven't actually. Last time I talked, he said he wasn't doing the podcast at all anymore. So I haven't talked to him since then. In fact, I've had no contact. I talked to him briefly about that some time back, I don't know, 6 months ago or something. So I haven't heard anything. I don't even know what he's doing. I don't really follow what he does for the most part. I've watched one podcast with Robert Frank before the one I did with him. That's everything I know about his work. Yeah, to me, I like the simplicity of life. It doesn't always feel sensationalized. I mean, yeah, I mean, pretty much, like I said, my small amount of quality time um, with loved ones, you know, is the only thing I do outside of what you guys see. Like, and my social media posting. Like that's it. I have a ruled Borg life other than crazy trolls. That's probably the most exciting thing about my life, I guess. Right? Do back extensions work the lower back or hamstrings more? Yes. Why do I need to apologize to anyone, Sean? So, Sean, why would you feel that I owe anybody an apology for anything? Did I say mean things? No, I don't feel that I did. You know, yeah, I have Muslim clients. They don't have any problem with any of it. Yeah, he is. Right? He's at least paying for a channel membership, but he's definitely giving trolley vibes just across the board. You know, what do you do? You don't try out new hobbies or activities, maybe travel? No. No. I am that boring, dude. Jason, what are your thoughts on the rise of the newer GLP drugs like Retrotide? I don't know anything about that one. I mean, I've made videos on that. It's not like I haven't discussed it in videos. All right. That's a very, again, a highly detailed topic. I've made a lot of posts and videos on it. I don't know how I want to word it in a coffee chat. I almost feel like I don't want to cover it in a coffee chat. I really don't, because I've done full detailed videos of why they're probably a net positive in the current social climate in the United States. Given our obesity epidemic at this point, desperate times call for desperate measures. I'm at a point I don't want either. I don't want any pets anymore. Right? Will you ever put a bit of milk in the coffee? Limitless, I feel like you don't understand what fasting is. What's your body? I don't know. You could estimate it yourself. I put up videos every day of me just in a pair of shorts. So what do you think it's at? I don't know. And I don't really care that much, honestly. I could just throw a number out and say 15%. Not that big of a deal. I think people obsess over body fat percentage, and you really shouldn't care unless you're going to go pay for DEXA scans. You're not going to have an accurate number, anyways, unless you're going to pay $100 every time you want to test it. Yeah, Sean, that's just really getting really troll. Like, why do you care about Cassidy Campbell's kookiness? What do you mean they? It wasn't they. It was Cassidy Campbell. It was his own weird. He's a weird dude too. Ryan's had a post here. He says, "My theory is that a lot of our young men aren't getting laid, but instead of bettering themselves, they hate and whine about people doing better than them." Right? It's a whole lot of that online. Yeah. I vaguely, yeah, to bring this guy up, right? I vaguely remember Kooky Cassidy, right? That's been so long. I mean, I made videos calling him Kooky Cassidy or whatever, but he just seemed like a weirdo, like a really weird dude. Like just a genuine weirdo. I mean, let's just call it what it is. Dude was a weirdo. Yeah. No, he did turn up at my gym. No, I don't want to do the French accent. I don't care about the fitness. So let's drop cat. Why do we? I don't care about the fitness industry. Let's just not talk about other fitness people at all. If we're going to talk current events, let's talk about real stuff. The fitness industry is dead to me. Yeah, he wanted to capitalize on that beef with Mike and I. You know. Which, yeah, that was its all heated thing. Like the venue had to talk to Mike O'Hearn about that. Yeah, the fitness industry is a joke, right? Because at that time, the current owner of the gym, because I knew them personally, they had to let Mike know. They're like, Mike, you can't do that. They're like, he will straight up shoot you. Like, he's not kidding. That's not like you can't do that. like, they're like, you admitted you're a martial artist and you physically threatened to hit him. He's like, he'll smoke you. They're like, I know him personally. Like, he'll do it. Like, you can't come play like that in Texas. No. Because he was showing up there. Would I train? If my I don't know. No, because it's too much. It'd be too much trouble to coordinate it. Like, and I'm not interested in traveling. I can't take time away from my business to go do bullshit. So no, just not interested. I mean, I would have no objection to training with Mike, but I don't want him just showing up at my house with a camera crew, and I'm not going to go travel somewhere. So it's the issue too that I've got to deal with stalkers. So it's like you can't do any of that. It doesn't work. Because then it's like, well, how about we go meet over at this local gym and work out together? And it's like, then I'm gonna deal with crazy people showing up. Yeah, so no. So the issue is not training with Mike. The issue would be organizing any such thing. It's just not worth it. So I have no objection to it. Sure, if Michael Hearn wanted to work out with me and we had a way to do it without problems, I wouldn't have an issue with it. But why would he? Right? Yeah. How you doing, Lars? You become happier with years. I'm pretty happy right now, to be fair. I'm having a good week, just in general. Let's see. Ryan says Slayer X Heart of Metallica floats and majestic. Who would you jam to in the morning when I train? Go with Slayer. No, it's some of that's a little bit hard. I don't want to get too psyched up. Maybe Metallica. Patrick, most of them wouldn't. It would be a couple of I'm not going to say names. Let's just not get that involved. How about we don't? All right. It wouldn't be the anonymous people. It would be. We already know who would probably try to show up because he likes to do publicity stuff with cameras. So that's more the concern. I just don't need the nonsense. All right. I don't want to deal with it because it would be a potential problem. There's an individual who would show up with cameras that without saying names, and I don't want you guys to put a name here, I'll delete it, who I have told police numerous times if he comes near me, I absolutely will use force. And I'm justified in doing so. And I'll just leave it at that. He would try to show up with a camera. And that wouldn't fly because of the legal history there. So it's not worth it, guys. It's not worth it. And so how about instead I just keep doing my thing? Yeah. It's best to just leave it. Because if I even say the name, it creates a whole new drama. And I don't need it. And again, I don't care about this industry. It's the fitness industry is dead to me. It's nothing but scam artists. Right? I'm not interested in it. I don't follow it. I don't care about it. So again, if we're going to talk current events, let's talk about stuff happening in the world that people actually care about. Gosh, Sean, you were really pushing it. Like if you didn't have the little stars of membership, you'd already be gone. Government connections. Do you realize you can't use connections like that? I've literally had FBI clients, and I don't mean that joking, trolling, exaggeration. I literally have given me advice. Like if they had connections, they couldn't. Those people would lose their jobs and go to jail over doing that. Like, that's dumb. Like, why would they help weirdos commit felonies? Just stop. I need to refill my coffee. I'll be right back. Yeah, exactly. It's not that easy. Yeah, I'm aware of child gives creepy vibes. Would you consider? Well, why would I rebrand? I run a fitness channel. Like, I run a fitness channel. That's what I do. I put up all my training, all my coaching stuff. Like, this is my thing. I can put out fitness content without being involved in the industry. Like, what I mean is, I don't care. I can avoid discussing them. I can avoid interacting with them. I can I am my own fitness industry. I am my own thing. I don't need any of them. I don't know what a bungalow means. Callum, I'm going to have to Google that term. Bungalow. I've heard the word, but I don't actually know what it means. Bungalow meaning. Because I can't answer a question if I don't. A low house with a broad front porch having either no upper or lower room set. That doesn't make sense. Okay. A low house with a broad front porch. No, that's definitely not my house. Having either no upper floor or upper room set to the roof. Yeah, I don't understand what that means. What do Americans call a bungalow? US, a ranch house. Single story home often with a pitched roof. Typical features. What? This is really confusing. Can you just put this in normal English? It's a 1-floor house. Oh, yeah. 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1 floor. Oh, by the way, everyone has stalked me, dude. I've been doxxed. Everyone knows where I live. Like, that's already a given. Yeah. But it says a broad front porch. I don't have a broad front porch, so no, I don't live in a bungalow. That was in the definition. It required a really broad front porch. Yeah. Is it common? What do you mean? Depends on money involved. I don't have thoughts on Wisconsin at all. I don't know anyone who's ever been to Wisconsin that I know of. Yeah, American is too vague. You'd never ask, hey, what's anything like in America? That's a silly question. Again, asking like what's something like in the United States is like asking what's something like in Europe. And if you count everything from Ireland all the way to Finland is Europe. Hey, Patrick, how about I don't ever answer questions like that? If you had to relocate to another part of the U.S., where would it be? Is it normal to wear shoes inside? I don't. How funny would that be if I do all my training and running barefoot and I put shoes on to be at the house? That would be really funny. I hate I don't have any carpet. No, tons of Americans have carpet. But again, Americans, so see the silliness of your question, guys. America is like 7 different cultures, regional cultures in 50 different states. Y'all be silly. No, I'd never moved to Canada. House with no stairs. Thank you, Phil. So a bungalow is a house with no stairs. So I guess technically, are you pro cash? I pay by card, dude. Yeah. What, Cletus? What are you talking about? That state is very similar to the eastern part of the U.S. in terms of weather. Yeah, I mean, I liked the Vikrams. They're very comfortable. I wore all of them out. I tend to only wear cowboy boots and Chucks, depending on what clothes I have on. Right. So if I have jeans on, I always wear cowboy boots, but I do Chucks. But I used to love the Vikrams. I just wear Chucks and shorts though. I liked them, but they all wore out. I haven't bothered to buy anymore. I threw some in my Amazon wish list though. So, yeah. But no, the running barefoot is more to do with it's better for your feet. It's easier on the knees. That's the way we're intended to run. Right. So, no, I don't see a chiropractor. What if you step on some sharp object? Why would I? Yeah. So why would I step on a sharp object? Have you been to Oklahoma? Yes. We don't need an exhaustive list of every state I've been through. Rock pebbles. If you were shredded, would you still do bare? Why wouldn't I? Yeah, there's tornadoes all in Oklahoma. It's pretty bad. Yeah, he's right. A lot of marathon runners, the top ones around the world, barefoot. There's a reason for that. A cigarette. I don't think you guys understand what my neighborhood looks like. I've shown you guys when out walking stuff of showing what the neighborhood looks like. Again, very strange. But let's say worst case you stepped on a cigarette. So what? Bro, I step on rocks. I mean, there's pebbles and things you step on all the time. Your feet toughen up. So that's a good one. Like I step on tons of pebbles. I step on acorns. So what? And this is the stuff I gotta wonder, of yeah, it's considered a nicer neighborhood, all things considered. It's just regular middle class neighborhood. So in Europe, well, why would you get injured bad? I mean, when I lived in the UK, I could look at that town and I could have run barefoot just fine there, the same way I do here. I've never dropped my phone. I'm old. I've got a good grip. What do you mean? So here's my thing. I'm just gonna say this as politely as I can. I don't know any other way to say this. You guys are some pussies. I just have to. I'm just gonna call it straight up. You're just pebbles, dude. This is again what I talk about the pussification of the Western male. Do you see me complain at all about getting out and running barefoot in my late 40s? Sure, yes, I step on pebbles. Yes, I occasionally get an acorn lodged into my foot that I have to pull out and stop and pull it out and throw it to the side because it sticks into the pad. So what? Like, why would you see that as a big deal? Just toughen your feet up. Hey, guess what? Deadlifting hurts your hands. They toughen up eventually. I have to deadlift with straps and gloves because my hands are so delicate. Like, that's what this sounds like to me. Like, guys, are you serious? Are you guys really followers of mine? The people who say these things, I gotta question that. Because I squat and deadlift 3 days a week. I pull with really aggressive bars, by the way. Notice what bars I pull with. I either pull with a Texas deadlift bar, which the first time I used my own, it shredded my hands. They were bleeding. Or I pull with my Texas power bar, which is a real similar level of aggressive neural. Like, this is normal. So that's what puzzles me. People act like these things are a problem. Yes, I squat barefoot. Yes, I push a sled barefoot. Yes, I run barefoot. Yes, rocks get stuck in your feet. What risk are you talking about? What do you mean the risk? The risk of what? Getting tougher pads on your feet? I pull without chalk or without a belt. Well, chalk is just there to keep you from ripping your hands more. Like, chalk is a safety measure, right? Was upper or lower more designed for people? No, not necessarily. Well, limitless. I'm not blind. Okay. So let's assume, all right, are you ready? Are you ready? Let's assume there is a broken bottle on the street, right? Let's go with this hypothetical. Walk around it, step around it. Done. Problem solved. See how easy that fix is? Oh, there's a broken bottle. Maybe I shouldn't step on it. If I see a big chunk of rock on the street that looks sharp, I just don't step on it. That works for, hey, limitless, that works for everybody though, doesn't it? Doesn't that work for everybody? I mean, let's just be honest. Like, if you're dumb enough to step on a broken bottle or a big rock, you just say, there it is. I'm just going to stomp on it while I'm running. Do you see what I mean? I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what that means, by the way. Sean, could you tell me what that is in English? I get tired of going to Urban Dictionary, guys. Just like put stuff in plain English. I don't know what a 17 OG is. Where do you guys live with glass? It's like, right? Well, who cares? So what? So, people make a weird deal about stuff. And whereas, and this is stuff that I talk about of just toughening up and being more resilient, stronger feet. I guess I have a different view because I guess maybe Sean, I see them all the time. What are you talking about? It wasn't like that when I lived in Cheltenham. So maybe the UK's changed. Like, yeah, there were some broken bottles here or there, but there were not. I would have been able to run barefoot just fine down those streets had I chosen to do that. Right? It's not like there's a sea of broken bottles, right? It's not like it was just a sea of broken glass, right? So let's assume there's a broken bottle every 20 feet. You can't just step around that. Yeah. Sean, he doesn't watch running lives. Yeah. So, but let's come over to like you guys are talking about all these make believe non-existent risks instead of going, well, what are the benefits? How about stronger feet, stronger ankles, better foot mobility? Right? Yeah, cool. Susan, I appreciate it, man. How you doing, Jesse? We're doing good, man. And no one wants to talk about the benefits. But then we come over to let's just be resilient, guys. So that always shocks me is, how soft people are. You're going to turn down all the benefits to barefoot running because you're scared to step. I can tell you, you get used to it real fast. I'm just confused as to how there's. It wasn't like that when I was in the Yes, there were broken bottles, but it's like I would have been able to run barefoot just fine there. Sure, there were a few broken bottles. Right. So, but you could just step around them. It's not like there's a sea of them to where you just look and it's an endless sea of broken glass and you have no pavement to step on. Right. Yeah. But the same people are like, oh, deadlifting it's too much fatigue. And I deadlift 3 days a week. I'm 48 years old, guys. I turned 49 coming up here this year, right? I throw 500 pounds on the bar and I rep it 3 times a week. Okay. Hey, Lars, I've heard of people who do the barefoot running in that too. I'm going to try it when it gets colder here. But using your same logic, yeah, we still talking. Using your same logic, Lars, as I had one of my clients point out, and I will quote him from a video. He was like, "Coach, you're doing this down in Texas in the summer, this barefoot." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I know how hot it is in the Houston area." Like, he's like, "You're running on asphalt in Texas summertime heat." And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "You're a crazy ass white boy." That was his exact words in the call. And it's like, so let's come over to that logic, Lars. So it's cold. Okay. Are you aware of how hot it is where I live? You're aware that where I live, it's illegal to walk your dog without shoes on the dog in certain times of day in certain regions. You can get a ticket for it for animal cruelty because it burns the pads of their feet. I do my sled pushes barefoot too. I do them barefoot. So you guys are aware that there have been running blogs I did. Let me throw it into Fahrenheit to give you an idea. And you didn't see me crying about it. Fahrenheit to Celsius. So let's see. So I've definitely done some runs barefoot out on the asphalt where it's been around 37 C with bright sun shining on the asphalt. So about 37 Celsius. The ground's hot. It's hot, but your feet toughen up. Your feet, you get used to it. Right? You get used to it, guys. You adapt. And that's the whole point. Just like you adapt to deadlifting with a coarse bar. Well, maybe minus 20C. But there's a point where we go, why don't we just get resilient? Right? Just get resilient. Well, maybe that frostbite would toughen you up, Lars. I'm just saying. I think people make a big deal out of stuff, and it just, I don't, how do I put it? As someone who just does stuff like this, view it from my mindset. Stop and think about it from my mindset with what you guys watch that I do. So put yourself in my shoes. I'm someone who's like, yeah, I'll go deadlift 3 days a week. I'll squat and deadlift 3 days a week. I'll go run barefoot in between. I'll push a sled bare. I'll do this. It's like not a big deal. We just do it. We just train. We do our training. We adapt to it. I don't even think it's hard. Let me be clear. I convince myself that everything I do is easy. Okay? I convince myself that it's easy. It's not a big deal. So given that I am doing this at almost 50 years old and I convince myself of that, when someone talks about, oh man, I don't want to, what if you step on something? It's like, do you think about how that comes across to me? As the person who just does this and it's not a big deal, like everything I do is easy. I have literally said they need to rename, just for mental programming, they should rename that 75 hard as either 75 easy or 75 pussy. The reason is, in terms of self-programming, you're calling something you're doing hard. That's the worst thing you could do. Like, why would you ever want to see it as hard? Well, Lars, I don't have a problem with you preferring to run in shoes either. My problem is the objections by people. But what if you hurt your feet? What if you step on a rock? Like, I don't know, bitch. Why don't you grow some balls? Like, what would happen if you weren't a fucking pussy? I mean, that's almost, that is like my knee-jerk reply is just, are you serious? I guess for me, I look at that and go, why are you projecting your softness onto me? Like, why? Go keep that to yourself. Like, I don't need that. I don't even want to hang out with people like that. That makes sense. Someone who's a soft ass bitch, I don't want them in my circle. Those people will bring you down. Even hanging out with people like that will hurt your mindset in life. If you hang with the weak, you'll become weak. So it's like when people want to project that to me, like so think of it from my perspective. I'm someone who views life that way. Like, you've got to do this if you get in and get stuff done. Everything's easy. Quick, don't tell yourself silly stuff like this is hard. Like, don't say that. That's why I hate the whole idea of the 75 hard thing. No, it should be called 75 pussy. And the reason is because you're programming yourself to know that these things are easy. Deadlifting 3 days a week is easy. Right? Going to powerlifting meet, this is easy. Taking a gold medal in powerlifting meet is easy. Breaking a state record is easy. Just train and go do it. So, and that's my point. So when people project these sort of things, I see it as very weak. Does that make sense? So when you guys make statements like that, I lose any respect for you. I can't, like, it's hard for me to respect a person, a grown man, who responds with some soft stuff like that. Like, the second that comes out of your mouth, whether it's in typing or speaking, I don't see you as an equal. We can't vibe at this point. I'm just going to write that person off as a whiny bitch. Just be done with them. Like, dude, I'm not hanging with you. Get out of here. And that's because that's my viewpoint. Like, I don't understand this mindset. It's just so easy to have the other mindset of to just look at all these things you do and go, this is not hard. This is easy. I can do this. Done. I didn't have to think about the barefoot running. I just did it. All right, hold on. We back up. Are we live again? Can you guys see me? Are we good? It disconnected me. But yeah, so I don't understand these mindsets. Just do it. Like I just said, you know what I do? I want to run. Let's do the barefoot running. Let's just do it. It hurt for a couple of days. No big deal. We adapted. Right? And that's the issue. It's just not difficult to adopt this mindset. And it's not even risky. Like I actually don't partake in a lot of risky behavior. I don't see it as risky. It's just running. Every squat I do, 100 links and press, right? Again, you build resilience in your body. You build these things. Build a base. But just like we build tendons, just like we build all these things, you build stuff with your feet. We build stuff with our hands. So when you start running barefoot, your feet get stronger. Your ankles get stronger. The pads of your feet turn into leather, right? It doesn't hurt for me to get out and run like that. It took up 2-3 weeks, and then there's no pain anymore. Well, I didn't say that it was Lars, but Lars, why do people feel the need to project their weakness onto me? It's weak-minded, right? It's the weak-minded. Lars, I have no problem with you running in shoes. But if you come here and tell me how risky or oh no, what you do is scary, I'm going to think you're a bitch. Is that fair? I don't have a problem with you running in shoes. But don't come to me projecting a weak mindset, because I'm not going to respect it. And it's not a weak mindset because you're wearing shoes. But don't project it at me. It'd be the same people if they come to me and go, you can't deadlift with that coarse bar like that all the time. It's going to tear your hands up. It's just, no, it's too much. My hands are used to it. Yeah, in the past, have I ripped hands open with a deadlift bar and they bled? Sure. My hands adapted. They got tougher. The stimulus fatigue, you can't deadlift 3 days a week. I do it. Now, can be sometimes difficult on the recovery end every now and then. Do I have to watch certain stuff? Sure. But I do it. What do you mean you can't do it? I do it successfully. What are we talking about? Imagine if you deadlifted first 500 pounds. No, not really. No, I don't really lose significant strength through the workout to my deadlifts, honestly. You know, I only squat because of the benefits of the squat, by the way, because in case I do want to do powerlifting again, and because I know how much the squat brings to the table. Like if I just did what I wanted to do, I wouldn't squat. I would just do deadlifts for my lower body. If it was purely about what I wanted to do, though, just that I know the benefits of squatting, so I squat. And just in the event I want to powerlift again, I need to have a strong squat. You know, if I have my way, I just deadlift all the time for my legs and sled. Be fine. So that's the one. So you want to hear me whine and cry? The one exercise I get a little bitchy tone in my voice about is the squat. So if you want me to say something that is I actually do sometimes find hard is squatting, but I still do it. But if that's be the one thing I probably will ever get whiny and bitchy about, right? So, you know, but I still do it. We do it first. I do the lift that I load the most first every workout. It's the first thing we do. While fully admitting I don't like it, but I know what it brings to the table. I know the benefits. Sometimes we have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. I find squatting way more uncomfortable than barefoot running or a deadlift, like hands down. Yeah, because I just do what I want. No to added sugar. You know, that sounds like something, the line that sounds like something a bear would say, right? You kind of playing your hand too there, aren't you? You're playing your hand. You know, it's kind of like that line. I've joked with that before. You know, they say if you have a bear trying to attack you, just lay down and play dead. Sounds like propaganda a bear might say. My channel, my rules. How do I put it? It's a knee jerk, anyways. I don't even think about it. It's not like I stood there and pondered it for 10 seconds. Just hit the button and just go. You made a bigger deal about it than I did. It's a normal size. This is a massive coffee cup. To scale. So you guys want to scale for the coffee cup? All right, there's a scale. Okay. Well, are you going to cry about me banning him? Are you upset? Is he your friend? Um, all right. Anything happening on the Facebook? No. Good morning. How you doing, Dean? I'm just thinking of winding this down soon, but not if I could run a little longer. I do need to get to training here soon. I got to do a consultation this afternoon that may turn into a client. He said he doesn't know. He's doing the regular $100 calls. He said he'll consider coaching. I got to be time all that around my lives later. Figure that out. That takes priority over lives. Let's see. Always fasted. Always. All my training is fasted. All my training is fasted. Yep. Yeah. Might be time to wind it down. Oh yeah, it's 7 a.m. almost. Sorry, I'm gonna get ready to wind it down. No, I can discontinue the vlogs. I just don't have. So Ted doesn't want to do a lot of recording, which that's fine. Vlogs are optional. He just wants a break from doing a lot of recording because he wants to focus on his lifting. Matthias is getting more tattoo work. I've got a vlog I need to do for him, and then Alex gets a little sporadic with getting everything put in due to some of his family life stuff. So, no, I still have 2 full-time bloggers. It's just that their workout stuff has been a little sporadic. Well, he's been getting a lot of work done. Like he's been getting tons and tons of it just for his thing. So it affects training and filming a little bit, right? So yeah, because he's getting all this stuff done on his chest and everything. So yeah, how much are you coaching? $250 a month. So yeah. But the vlogs don't get that many views. Like honestly, because I don't have like the vloggers that were most popular were like Emma and Mike. So since then, I've never had any vloggers that really took off. They get the lowest views out of anything I put up. Honestly, to be fair, you know, like Emma was the most popular vlogger I've ever had in terms of just total views, and then Mike was number 2. Emma doesn't lift right now. She did say she will, when she's ready to start lifting again, she will come back on for coaching. Like she's reached out and let me know all that. So when you guys ask what happened, I don't understand what you mean. Does that make sense? I don't understand what you mean by what happened. So you guys should. That's like such a vague question because I don't necessarily know what you mean by that. Like, what do you mean by happened? Like, what exactly are you asking? All right. Have you ever thought about getting any tattoos? Have I thought about? Yes, I'm probably not ever going to do it. No, I'm not currently coaching, Doug. Hey, Alan, you know as much as I do with Mikey. I haven't talked to him in about 6 months, so I have no idea. I know he was doing all that stuff in triathlete instead of lifting. Emma was doing marathons and wasn't serious with her lifting. She's just doing very, very basic, rudimentary stuff. So, at that point, they don't feel like they need coaching, right? With the level of coaching that I do. Yeah. So, no, none of those people are currently clients. Yeah, Mike was nutty. Most of my clients like to stay fairly anonymous, and I think people have to understand that. The majority of my clients have always wanted anonymity. Like they don't want their stuff put up. So it's always been a small number. I would say on average, more than half of my clients want just basic, their stuff kept private. Say more than 50% on average, pretty normal. And very few on a blog, I had that period of time where I had like 8 people who wanted to vlog at one time, and that was a lot to juggle. But I also had like 40 clients. So it's a pretty big chunk. And maybe that'll return one day to where I have tons who just want to vlog, and the channel will all be about vlogging. Right? That feels like it would be tedious, so I wouldn't be able to make other content. The client vlogs are more time consuming than my other content to put together. All right. All right. But I think it's about time to wind some of this down. So I'm going to shut down. Glad it felt good, Ryan, to look back. I'm going to shut down the Facebook. Coach, you ever do a client listen up bit again? I don't know, maybe. But hope this has been informative. Love you guys, and I'll talk to you next time.